anticipate once we finally go green?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of times when you see a rain delay, the drivers get very aggressive right off the bat. I wouldn't be surprised to see a caution quick, but the draft is going to be something big today. With these this high drag, high downforce package on these cars, the runs are going to be really big. They're wide open around the racetrack. There's going to be a lot of bumping and banging for sure.
And if you hadn't seen practice, you are in for a real treat. These cars are 2, 3, even 4 wide. Joey said it best. It's pack racing. These guys are going to be tied together, and a lot of aggression, a lot of bumping and pushing around, and I'm looking for an upset. We've got Kevin Harvick starting outside the top 20. Kaz Grala's in the back row. We could see a winner from anywhere in this starting lineup.
Michael won here in 2002. Joey won here in 2012. In 2013, it was Regan Smith. He's working pit road for us. Let's get Regan's wrap. Hey there, Regan.
Well, good afternoon, Adam. Hey, last year in this race, William Byron, driving the number 9 car, came within 6 inches of winning the race in one of the closest finishes of the year. I don't normally like to make predictions during Regan's wrap, but since we are in the Irish Hills of Michigan, the driver of that number 9 car this year, he's a leprechaun. Tyler Reddick is a leprechaun. I've got to predict him to win this race based on that outfit alone. Look for Tyler Reddick to be very good today. Jamie Little?
Very good, Regan. Well, one driver who hopes to turn things around today is Justin Allgaier. Since getting his win at Dover just a few weeks ago, he's failed to finish both races since. The good news for him, Jason Burdett, his crew chief, is back from suspension. The bad news, the team just made an unapproved adjustment. They will have to drop to the back of the pack for the start of this race. Now let's check in with our pre-race Procast.
Waiting to get going for later today, so if we're not qualifying, it's going to be definitely interesting coming up through traffic. It's been wild yesterday. Felt almost like heat races rather than practice.
I'm here hanging out with my JGR crew buddies, sitting here discussing strategy of how we're going to win today. Unfortunately, these guys are on the 18 team and I'm on the 20 team, so I'm keeping my secrets to myself.
Just a bit of a preview of what we'll see here today. Our race analysis, 250 miles, 125 laps gets us there. Stage 1, Stage 2, each 30 laps in length, then a 65-lap run to the checkers. Pit road speed 55 miles per hour, and I'm looking to make their way off turn 2. Kyle Busch taking the outside lane, Michael.
Yeah, and look at that grip level, 4. And Joey, at these speeds, I might even ramp that up to a 5. We saw cars yesterday up outside of the groove. You can see the darker part of the corner there. They were up in the lighter area, still making progress. So we're liable to see anything, I think.
Yes, and you're going to see them wide open around the corner, and they're going to be very close to each other. And the closest you can get to that car in front of you, you're going to give that driver a big run down the straightaway. So the cars that you see line up bumper to bumper, even pushing each other, get off the corner, are going to have a huge run down these long straightaways, and it's what that driver does to make the pass. But the one thing we saw in practice is if you make that move and you don't clear that driver off the corner, that bottom lane goes backwards on the straightaway. So it'll be interesting to see how it is with the whole field on the racetrack, though.
And I think that's probably why Kyle Busch took the high side. He didn't want to get trapped down there and lose all his track position right off the bat here at the start of the race.
Front row, Kyle Busch, Paul Menard driving the 22. Menard has a win here, came back in 2014. Our second row, series regulars Elliott Sadler, who comes in with a championship lead. Cole Custer, who's been on quite a roll lately. Rest of the top 10, Daniel Hemrick, Tyler Reddick, Bell, Nemechek, Brandon Jones, Alex Bowman driving the 23 for GMS, already off to a good weekend over there. Johnny Sauter won the truck race last night at Texas Motor Speedway. Thanks for hanging in with us. Finally, the green flag in the air. We're underway here at Michigan.
You see Elliott Sadler giving a great push to Paul Menard to actually clear Kyle Busch on the top. Now this is where it's going to get interesting when you come up off the corner. Where are these runs going to come from? Apparently right down the center.
Nemechek in the 42, getting a little push from the 23. As I said, that's Alex Bowman this week.
4 wide. For a minute at least.
To me, that's just awesome. Seeing these guys really using the runs you talked about, Joey, using that draft to try to pull up. And look at that. The cars spread out on the straightaway all the way down to the bottom.
for the lead. Kyle Busch inside of Menard makes the pass. Remember a year ago, Busch started out front, never led a lap. Had that incident early on with Brad Keselowski. We'll see if he can get it done here. Drafting help Menard, getting a push from Elliott Sadler.
And
Both of them going around.
That was the run we were talking about. Elliott Sadler and Paul Menard were hooked up off of turn 2, and they stayed hooked up, which gave Paul Menard the run, but then Elliott did a great job on getting the outside of Paul, and now Paul's in trouble because there's a line up top, and he's got to find a hole quick, and he's not going to. And look at that, how big that's what I was talking about. You got to get up by that wall and make sure you clear him unless you're in big trouble.
Kyle Busch is able to pull out and try to whip around Sadler all by himself, and that's key. If you can make that move, you saw Menard, he needed a push from Elliott Sadler to make that work. Here's a guy that's got a few pushes, Kevin Harvick, 24th starting position to inside the top 10. He follows along right behind Ross Chastain there in that 4 car.
Yeah, qualifying rained out, so some of our top drivers had to start in the back because we went to owner points, and on board with Harvick here, who is 10th already, 3 laps into this thing. Meanwhile, at the front, it's Kyle Busch, Sadler behind him, and the rookie Christopher Bell as we go back to Harvick.
And this is where Kevin's got to be smart. He probably has a big enough run to go to the bottom, but there's no hole in front of that 4 car that he's trying to pass. And that would keep him pinned on the bottom, and the whole line would go back by him. He'd go back to where he started. So he's probably trying to push the 4 car into making a move, and then he's going to fill that gap if he has the opportunity.
So he's wanting Ross Chastain to fill the push from behind, dive to the bottom, and then you think maybe Kevin just swings to the outside and traps
I think that's
Chastain.
what would happen, and I think right now you have to be patient because you want to go. It's just like at Daytona, Talladega. If they get single file like this and you make the move and you don't clear the car, you're in trouble.
A lot of learning early on. Here's the 42 of John Hunter Nemechek.
So be patient here. It's going to be almost like dirt racing where you're going to have to wait until there's enough of a hole in front to we can get that run to slide job up in front of them here, especially if they start chain locking single file here in front.
Dirt racing at 180 miles an hour. That sounds like a lot of fun.
I thought the grip level was a 4.
It is until somebody gets a hold of your back bumper, and that's what we're going to see. A lot of that pushing and shoving here before this thing's over.
On board with Ryan Truex. This the leaf filter onboard camera.
And there's a great example. Whoever just got on the outside of Daniel Hemrick, what a great move. You got to protect the top because that's where the passes are made, and you saw him get shuffled out. Ryan Truex, and I'm sure the rest of the pack went right back by him.
Hemrick top 5 to 12th. Momentum huge in the early going here at Michigan.
I think a lot of people were thinking maybe there was only a car or 2 that could get out front and pull the whole chain along. One of those cars is Kyle Busch, who started up front, was able to swing around Paul Menard early, and now he's just dragging the field along behind him. Be interesting to see when Sadler thinks it's time to try to make that move with a push from Bell and take the lead back.
And the longer this line gets, as these cars get closer and closer in this one single file lane, their risk becomes larger to make the move. You know, if you make the move when there's only 4 cars that are in the pack, the worst you can go back to is 4th. Right now, the worst you can go back is the 15th or 20th. So you can go from 2nd. If you don't clear the leader, you're going back to 20th. So it's risk versus reward as a driver right now, and you have to weigh all that out.
And a couple of shout outs. Ross Chastain, we talked to him all the way up to 7th from his 16th starting position. And a car that I'm going to be watching all day is the red one right behind the purple car there in the draft. That's Ryan Reed. We know how good he is at the super speedways, Daytona, Talladega. This is a lot like that. It'll be interesting to see if he can use that same restrictor plate prowess that he shows at Daytona and Talladega to get a win here in Michigan.
Chastain, you say how good he's doing, he gets shuffled. What happened here?
Wide open, wide open. And looks like it just maybe, did it push up out of the groove, Joey?
Well, what happens here, for whatever reason, when you get outside of the rubber, the track does not have as much grip. And once you start going up that way, it's hard to stop it until you lift. And it looks like it just kind of started going up that way, and Ross had to lift. And just a little bit of lift seems like you lose a lot of momentum. Takes a long time to get it spooled back up.
There he is, spooling up, as you said, with Matt Tiff just behind him. Give Paul Menard an A for effort. He's been trying to the bottom ever since he lost that lead early.
Well, and where he is back there, he doesn't have any risk to really make these moves. He might as well try it. What's the worst that happens? He goes back to the back where he was. So he needs to make those moves right now and try to force holes and try to make something happen.
Menard right now 18th after leading the first lap of the race. Other drivers to lead one, Elliott Sadler and Kyle Busch, who's been out front for 6 circuits. There's Chastain, Matt Tiff behind him, back to the front, single file for 7, 8 cars or so, and 3 of the top 4 from Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle Busch on point, Christopher Bell is 3rd, Brandon Jones in the 4th position right now.
And this track is as grippy as it's been all weekend, huh, Joey? Right now, these cars are stuck to the road.
Yes, cool temperatures. You hear them lifting a little bit, and it'll be interesting to see how tire wear plays into this, too, as the run goes.
9 down, 21 to go in our opening stage for the Xfinity cars here at Michigan. Kyle Busch, Elliott Sadler, Christopher Bell, Brandon Jones, Cole Custer, your top 5. The green flag finally waving. Everybody's fired up. We had some heavy weather move through, but some faithful fans hanging out here at Michigan to watch the NASCAR Xfinity Series as we work toward the midway point of our opening stage. So far, no surprise, it has been the Kyle Busch show. And when we were in break, a big potential moment over in turn 4.
And there you see the 19 having to lift a little bit, and it stacks the cars up behind him, and Kevin gets a run and kind of gets forced to go to the bottom and make something happen. And you see it doesn't work for those 2 cars on the bottom.
And this is just
You guys are starting to separate a little bit. Tight when you get to them here.
a situation where Kevin had no choice. He had so much momentum, he had to go to the bottom.
And he just didn't have enough when he got down there to make it happen. But what I see here, see how the packs are starting to separate. That means handling is starting to come into play. That 19 car is not the best handling car. So now the risk of making a move, if you're one of these top 3 cars, may not be as big as it was when we were all single file 20 cars in a line. Now that they're in smaller groups, it may be different.
Kyle Busch has been the dominator so far, but Elliott Sadler hanging right there with him. What are they saying on the radio as we close on the end of the first stage?
Yeah, tell Hirschman I'm good right here. I might leak out some to get some out the left one in the corner, but I'm good right here to try to get away. Yeah, we're good. Everything's good where he's running. Don't change anything.
Spoke with this guy up here. I told him don't change nothing here. We're all going to stay in line ride for a while.
And that's really smart. On Elliott's part, is that they're trying to break away, because as they come down to the end of the stage, Elliott's not going to want to stay second anymore. But if they can separate themselves, he's not going to fall all the way to the back if he's not able to complete the pass.
And the Hirschman Elliott was talking about is Tony Hirschman, who is the 20s spotter, Christopher Bell spotter. He's saying to his spotter, Elliott is telling spotter Brett Griffin, go tell Tony Hirschman, I'm happy to be right here, right now.
Oh, we got a crash here. Look,
20 and Christopher Bell.
Yells out, yells out, yells out.
Into the wall, we just talked about him.
He had the right rear quarter. Man, they killed the right rear quarter.
Man, I wonder what happened there.
He was running in the 3rd position, right there with our leaders.
This will be the 2nd week in a row in the DNF category for the rookie out of Norman, Oklahoma. Here it is.
Just gets loose.
Wow.
He wasn't really out of the groove. He was up in the upper part of that darker area of the track, but I would have thought that it wouldn't have been any slicker up there than it was a bit lower.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I think is a little bit to the right side, and these cars handle better when you have a little bit to the left side of the car. To the right side, you're still in the wake of the air from the car in front. But wow, that happened really quick. Maybe it was a flat tire. You see some pieces of the tire there. I don't know, Regan, what you got?
Well, he's down here on pit road right now, guys. They're trying to get the right rear pulled out immediately. His teammate in the 19, Brandon Jones, was behind him. Felt like maybe he hit a small patch of water up there in the middle of the racetrack. So I didn't see any weepers, but that came directly from his teammate behind him.
Well, this track did appear to be dry, but they continued to work in some different areas. Maybe did have some weepers. We'll follow that story as the afternoon continues. And now we open the door maybe to some strategy, Larry. Just over 10 laps to go on the stage. What are you thinking?
I think we'll see a mixed bag. As you're seeing right here, we're seeing a lot of them stay out, but I think you'll see some come, because if you pit here, you absolutely can go all the way to the end of stage 2 on fuel. So I think that's the reason we're seeing a lot of cars like Kevin Harvick in the 98, Daniel Hemrick in the 21, they'll be set to go all the way to lap 60, which would be the end of stage 2.
Looked like the top 5 at least stayed on track. Others making pit stops. Paul Menard is there. Alex Bowman. Some others in as well, Regan.
Alex Bowman leaves his pit stall after a good pit stop. It's been really nice for this team to have Cup drivers in the field. Alex Bowman's last race was actually Charlotte, where he won.
And you know, Larry nailed it, the mixed strategies we saw on pit road there, and being able to race to the end of stage 2. I think that's what makes stage racing so entertaining. It's going to mix up the field. Kyle's not just going to be able to sit up there and lead because of this strategy.
The other factor today, the weather. We could be racing to the end of stage 2. That could change everything for these teams as well. Under caution for the first time.
saying not pit at all. Get to the end of 2.
Under caution for the first time today. It's the NASCAR Xfinity Series here at Michigan International Speedway. Christopher Bell bringing out the caution, got loose and made contact with the wall off of turn 2. Some damage there. They continue to work. Meanwhile, a number of drivers came down pit road. When we go green, they'll restart from 22nd on back. Kyle Busch stays out. He'll be the race leader. Taking the outside lane, it's Elliott Sadler to his left. And did you see that, guys? He was using that hand trying to get some help from behind. That's Brandon Jones giving him a push.
You definitely need some teamwork of some sort. Even if it's not your teammate, you're going to need teamwork to make it happen on these restarts, especially that bottom lane. They got to work together the best they possibly can to try to survive on that bottom.
Custer working in the outside lane with Kyle Busch. We go on board with Kevin Harvick. He's one of those drivers that came down pit road. Fresh tires, no track position, and a whole lot of aggression. Middle of 3 wide.
3 wide middle, 2 wide.
Oh,
inside, still inside.
Elliott Sadler must have gotten loose up toward the front, lost all of his momentum.
Looking, not there.
At purple 11, Ryan Truex getting with the program. Here comes Sadler behind him. Now, Daytona, Talladega, you can't lock bumpers in the Xfinity Series, and that bottom line is out of bounds. Those rules not in play here today, despite the fact the draft looks a whole lot like what we see in Alabama and Central Florida.
That's boys have at it is what that is, Adam. And you can see that hole that the 9 of Tyler Reddick squeezes in just ahead of Tommy Joe Martins. We talked about guys like Tommy Joe. And they're off the track, like you said. Harvick all the way to the bottom, wanting to get some spots.
And this is when you got to be aggressive. It pays to be aggressive as a spotter, as a driver. When there is a hole, you got to get in there as quick as possible and get that big push. We saw A.J. Allmendinger do that the All-Star race with a similar rules package. And here you go, Kevin, trying to be aggressive here, trying to make it happen on the bottom.
You say trying to be aggressive?
I
think he's executing the plan. There he goes around J.J. Yaley.
You and him by yourselves here, still at your door.
He's going to be back inside the top 15. My question, 8 laps to go in stage 1. Those drivers that stayed out under that caution, do they do it again at the end of the stage? Because with the caution laps, they might be able to make it all the way to the end of stage 2 without a pit stop.
Joey talked about handling, though, and the more laps they put on these tires, the more they're going to slip and slide. I guess that, Adam, will just be a matter if you think you've got enough handling built in your car to stay out on those older tires.
Hey, we thought it could be a potential second consecutive DNF for the 20 of Christopher Bell. He has met minimum speed. He stays in the game 2 laps down, Jamie.
Well, Kevin Harvick making his 3rd appearance in the Xfinity Series this year. His car was decent, but when they came in on that last pit stop, they only took 4 tires, but it was a slow stop. Kevin was not happy, so he lost some position, and he's fighting his way back, maybe a little fired up. Already gained 13 spots since the restart.
And the best of those drivers that pitted, Alex Bowman, who Jamie right now finds himself 13th. There's the 3 of Austin Dillon. Big push from Tyler Reddick in the 9. They are 9th and 10th on track.
And that's how you go down the straightaway good. If you can keep doing that a few times, you're going to catch that pack in front of you.
6 laps to go. Stage 1, the leader, Kyle Busch.
Got to decide here shortly.
Cal, you can't ask me. You got to have a plan, man.
Sorry, Eric can't get back to me.
There's one thought. If you can make it to the end of the next stage, then you pit now. How hard is it?
10-4. We're trying to work around the weather.
That was the traffic after they stayed out, right?
I guess so.
Jamie?
Well, what's happening here? That's Dustin Zacharias. He's actually the lead engineer on this 18 team. This is the first time he's ever been the crew chief. Of course, Eric Phillips got suspended for this race after failing post-race inspection last week. And I talked to Dustin yesterday. He said this isn't something he aspires to do. He doesn't want to be in the limelight. He likes being an engineer. Well, he asked his driver his opinion on pitting or not, and you heard it. Kyle told him, you better have a plan, man.
And I just tell you, Jamie, as a driver, when you don't hear what you want to hear on that radio, that button you push on the steering wheel makes you feel like King Kong. You can say anything you want to and get away with it. And that was Kyle voicing some frustration. But there's going to be more than just 1 or 2 strategy plays in this baby. It's going to be all over the board. So have a chance to get that back.
I don't always get away with it when I push that button. I don't know exactly what you're talking about, but I think you got to be smart when you push that button. It's a lot of power when you start talking to everyone on the radio.
Down to 4 laps to go in this stage, Larry. So where are we going? I got to believe, as Michael said, a lot of different options on strategy.
Well, I think we know all the drivers like Austin Cindric, Kevin Harvick, Daniel Hemrick that just pitted this last caution, that they absolutely will stay out. But I've been thinking a little bit about this whole deal of not pitting the last caution or pitting at the end of this stage. You know, we just ran 4 caution laps, and to your point, we'll probably run 5 or 6 before we go back green. But then you have to remember that we ran some pace laps, so it's going to be right there. But I tell you what a lot of crew chiefs told me, and Michael and Joey, I think you'll relate to this. They said this morning when I was talking to them that when they put new tires on yesterday with this package, it wasn't like they saw a difference on the stopwatch. It's just the car had better drivability. The guy could be more aggressive with the car.
And Larry, we talk about strategy. It's going to be fun to see what they decide to do here, but just some great runs earlier. I talked about Ryan Reed, how he can get this plate, get it done on the plate tracks. He's up inside the top 5. And look at Kaz Grala from last to running in the lead draft up in the top 10. Great job by this team and by Kaz fighting his way to the front. What's he had to say on the radio, Regan?
He's been quiet on the radio so far, Michael, but let's remember this is a driver that needs to score points for the playoffs as well on the driver's side, and a team that needs to bump themselves up in the owner points. So a lot of meaning to these points if they can score them at the end of the stage for these guys.
He's got to hang on for less than 2 laps, 1.5 to go in our first stage. Kyle Busch, Cole Custer, John Hunter Nemechek, Ryan Reed, Brandon Jones, the top 5. Then it's Ryan Truex, Elliott Sadler, the aforementioned Kaz Grala, Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, your top 10. And that may change. Harvick out of line, trying to find his way to 10th. 1 to go, first stage at Michigan.
And this one, the intensity is going to pick up in the front. I know they're all riding single file right now, but at what point are they going to try to make a run? Here you see something building pretty quick. They come detached a little bit there. I don't know if the run's going to be as big right now, but it's coming from the 42, that's for sure. But that car doesn't handle. I've seen that car. I've been watching it. It slides up the racetrack in 3 and 4 a lot.
There goes Custer. He made the move.
Still there.
That's not going to work.
That could be experimental, though, right? Trying to figure out how to play this later on into stage 2. More importantly, end of the race. 5th stage victory of 2018 for Kyle Busch. Across the start-finish line, Nemechek 2nd. Then it's Reed, Custer, Brandon Jones, the top 5. Rest of those scoring points, Ryan Truex, Elliott Sadler, Kaz Grala, Austin Dillon, Kevin Harvick complete the top 10. Productive opening stage for Reed, Custer, Brandon Jones, Ryan Truex. Those drivers really needing to score points, and paying off Kaz Grala. He was able to hang on for a top 10 position.
Joey, you saw it. Watch the 00 of Custer. This is just smart. He backs up to the nose of the 42 to get this run.
Yeah, let's watch this whole thing play out. We didn't get to see the whole thing live on down this back straightaway. This is a great view to see it. The 16's getting a push to the 42. He's going to transfer it. There is a difference of speed, but not enough to get in front of the 18 car. You know, credit to him for trying. I like that, but that was not a big enough run to really make it happen.
But you gotta love the spirit, and you talked about it, Adam. Let's try stuff. Let's see what we can get done here coming to the checker. Heck, it might result in a stage win.
And you know, he lost a couple spots for trying it. Oh well, you know, at least you're going for the win. That's the way drivers are wired. That's the way we're supposed to be wired. That's what fans want, and I'm glad Cole tried.
Larry talked about those drivers that pitted earlier. Kevin Harvick, the best of those in 10th. He, Paul Menard, Alex Bowman, Daniel Hemrick. The top runners that we would anticipate will stay on track here as pit road opens next time around.
I've learned not to anticipate much of anything. The way these crew chiefs, their minds think, the strategy around how their cars are handling. You can see it looks like several of them will be coming for tires. This could mix up the whole running order.
That 42 car, man, it's fast, but it does not look like it handles very well. And I'm sure John Hunter, it looks tight. It's hard to say from this far away from the race car, but I'm sure he's going to be wanting some adjustments pretty quick. You know, and we also got weather coming around the corner, so what these drivers do would be really interesting. I would assume, you know, Harvick and I think Menard pitted maybe the one before as well. Yep. I think those guys are probably going to want to stay out here and get that track position.
What's your anticipation on the value of tires versus that track position here? How does all that balance out, Joey?
I think Jamie had a good point after she talked to those crew chiefs, how important it is to be able to be aggressive through the field. It's not going to result in a bunch of lap time, and here you see the leaders coming down pit road.
Looks like they're all going to come, led by Kyle Busch. Pit stops, end of stage 1. They're heading your way, Regan.
42, John Hunter Nemechek hits his pit stall. That race car was too loose yesterday, so crew chief Mike Shiplet tightened it up a little bit for today. He's still too loose right now. The 19 of Brandon Jones, his race car is too tight right now. And crew chief Chris Gabart, let's not forget he won this race last year. Much different setup. So Jamie Little.
Look at Ryan Reed in the 16, how wet his pit box is as he winds it up. He took 2 tires only. Kyle Busch handling was good. Cole Custer said he got a little bit tight, so definitely handling an issue, bigger issue than many thought for this race.
Race off pit road goes to Cole Custer. He's in that number 1 pit stall, +3 for him. Then it's Kyle Busch, Ryan Reed, Elliott Sadler, Jeremy Clements, no tires, goes +12. All of these guys going to restart behind those drivers that pitted at lap 18 and stayed out here, Michael.
Cole Custer, we talked about that run he made. Hey, Cole Custer, it's Joey Logano and Michael Waltrip. I'm Michael. That's Joey up here in the booth. Awesome job with trying to make a run there to win that stage. How did you pull that off almost?
Oh, well, it seems like you're just going to have somebody to really commit to you if you're going to try and make a pass on the bottom. I mean, I feel like I had a pretty decent run. It just kind of stalled out there once we got on the corner. It's definitely, we got a pretty good Code 3 Mustang, but just got to try and get some track position and stay out there.
All right, well, have fun the rest of the day. It was cool seeing you make that charge. Good luck.
A little bad news to report following the pit stops. Kaz Gralla, who went from dead last to 8th, uncontrolled tire, left a restart in the rear. Stage 2 underway when we come back to Michigan. It's always big when we come to Michigan International Speedway because we're just over an hour west of Detroit, Michigan. This is the fairgrounds where it all began back in the 1950s. And you know the race car, it has changed a little bit over the years. Been racing here at Michigan International Speedway since the 1960s. F1 made appearances in Detroit during the 1980s. And if you like Mustangs, you can find a few of those around this part of the country.
The old Dream Cruise is a lot of fun to go see. A lot of cool cars. Henry Ford Museum. That's pretty cool to see.
You spent some time over there, right?
There's a lot of really cool cars. If you're in town, that is definitely a cool place to see. In the Greenfield Village as well. It's just a lot of history. It's a lot of fun to look at.
Jeff Gordon going to get a tour tomorrow, live NASCAR on Fox, as the Monster Energy Series goes racing here at the Irish Hills. So stage 1 is all done for these Xfinity cars. As we set things up for the green flag in stage 2, it's going to be Kevin Harvick leading, Paul Menard, Alex Bowman, Daniel Hemrick, Justin Allgaier the top 5. Cole Custer, who just pitted at lap 32, going to restart in the 9th position. No surprise here, Harvick goes outside lane.
And these are the cars that cycled to the front after they pitted around lap 15. They stayed out, and now they got track position. Now the fun part might be to see Kyle Busch and see how he works his way through the pack. We know he has a fast car and he has fresher tires. What are the moves he's going to make to get there?
I'm just curious to see how those tires play out, if they're indeed an advantage. Look at Ryan Reed. We've talked about him all day being really good at this type of racing. He's diving to the bottom, and look at the move he's making.
Being aggressive. He's having to lift a lot for sure.
As Kyle Busch to his outside. Driver 18 restarted 10th. A little drafting help from Elliott Sadler in that outside lane. Here's Kyle Busch on the radio a moment ago.
Was it only this 3, us 3, the 00, us the 16 that did 2 tires there? Everybody else was 4? We got to be better than that. We got to call it. We got to do it. Said for our initial thought was tires aren't going to be a factor, so take the track position. But yeah, I mean, if we're looking down pit road and watching, or if Pirelli's telling you on channel 2 that everybody's doing 4, we give up 1 spot.
Coaching up that rookie crew chief, isn't he?
Well, Kyle's got a lot of races under his belt, and he knows what he wants.
And he knew right there.
He'll tell you about it.
He knew right there. We got to spin. That's
Alex LeBay.
I'm with you.
The 8 of Cesar Baccarella. 3rd caution of the afternoon.
You can see some damage to the nose of the 36 of LeBay. He had raced well up inside the top 15 and had it all go away there. Canadian driver who got that 11th place finish at Bristol, and Baccarella making one of his few starts out of Florida.
Yeah, his car looks like it's in pretty good shape after that. Maybe not hitting anything.
Some damage there on the right side, maybe down on the bottom, and slides up.
Bottom left of the screen, they come into your picture there.
You can see LeBay just gets loose down low and spins, and watch Baccarella in the 8 car coming, trying to get low, getting low. Just cut her too tight, Joey.
Yeah, when you're on the brakes, he's turning a lot, and he's he didn't hit him.
Out in front of them, Brandon Hightower, unbelievable job in the 55, keeping that thing in line.
And you see the splitter on a 36 car. All he did is get in the grass a little bit and ripped it off, but the grass is so wet and heavy and muddy right now, it just ripped that splitter right off the car.
That's a hard line to hold, isn't it? Down on the bottom like that, and LeBay just had it slip away from him, and just fun to watch Baccarella slip through there. And look at Yaley in the 38. He had to be right on his toes as well.
So how about this development? Christopher Bell got the free pass at the end of stage 1 on that caution. This caution puts him back on the lead lap as he gets the free pass one more time. And there you see the mud flying over a half inch of rain
on the
today.
20 over there. It'll be interesting to see how that thing handles in the pack, and the drag that it might have with that bumper dragging the ground like that.
You know, but if he complains about the way it handles, Joey, his crew chief's liable to say, you're the last one to adjust on it. You better just drive that thing, right?
Boy, have I heard that before.
9 laps complete in stage 2. Here's a quick word from Duracell. You know, it's amazing to me. We put these cars out here in the draft, and that word comes about once again here at Michigan, strategy, because we've seen the shuffle already. Is Kyle Busch still the guy because he's lost a little track position here, Michael?
I think you got to think he's going to fight his way back to the front, but we're also seeing how difficult it is to pass. We knew with him on the front row, he'd be hard to guard early. I love the fact that strategy's all over the board, and I'm really curious to see what these tires will do. We've heard guys lift off the gas. Would you rather be setting 6th or 8th with new tires or up front with old ones?
I want to be up front with old ones. That clean air, I think, is going to somewhat overcome what those tires are worth. Now, if you're 4th or 5th with older tires, that might not be the place to be. But right now, I see a lot of experience up front. You see Harvick, you see Paul, you see Alex Bowman. Those guys are all up front, and they're smart enough to work together and make sure they keep that 18 car behind them because they know that's a strong race car. So it'll be interesting. And Kyle's only on 2. We just heard that a minute ago with that conversation with his crew chief.
And Bowman, who's 3rd, has not changed tires at all today, so something else to keep an eye on as we roll on here. And we look at the 18 of Kyle Busch. A bit of an issue on the splitter there. What do you guys see? Any concern?
What is that?
Looks pretty good to me. What did he run into there?
What are you hearing, Jamie?
Well, it looks like something as simple as a piece of tape, but Kyle said he got into some of that debris from that last issue we saw, so the team was just looking at that splitter, making sure it's okay. So, yes, we're helping them out right now, and they know that it all looks intact.
I want my splitter to look just like that, Joey, right down on the road. That looks nice, doesn't it?
That thing is down. Just skimming the ground right where it's supposed to be.
Lining up to go green. What do you see, Larry?
Well, I've been studying this 18 car pretty close. It looks like to me almost a piece of tubing that is just stuck right in just above that front splitter. I don't think it's going to hurt anything, but yeah, you're right. They've done a good job of getting that splitter sealed off. But yeah, that's a piece of tubing or piece of steel.
Kyle Busch going to restart 6th here. Good news, even number. He's in the outside lane, which we felt like maybe that's where the advantage is, although Harvick going inside here, and Menard going to be in the outside lane. Bowman, Hemrick, the other drivers in the top 5, with Austin Cindric, who's coming off a career best last weekend at Pocono, doing some positive things in the 60 for Jack Roush today.
These restarts are intense, especially if you're stuck down on the bottom. You're looking for that hole. You're looking for a way to merge up.
Yes.
And the guys up top don't want to give it to you.
No, they're going to keep it as close as they can. You got to be aggressive, and you're leaning on your spotter. You know, the better your spotter is, it really can make something happen. We got some radio from Harvick.
23 says push the hell out of you, but Paul hung him, so theory I'm pushing hard. I don't know. I told him he still got to push hard, try to do it, and no matter what. So hopefully he'll push you. Right, that's the game. Just got to push. Yeah, that's what I told him. I said no matter if we hang or not, you can't just lay down and not go down there. You're going to get even worse. So anyhow.
That's Michigan's Tim Fedowa spotting for Harvick, letting him know what all's going on with the other teams. And Joey, just outside of our broadcast booth is where the spotters hang out during the rain. And they were all nervous about exactly what this was going to be like, racing so close together. The spotters are key here.
Yeah, they're earning their paycheck. And it's so key for the spotter to understand what is going on inside that car and during that draft to give the right information for that driver to make the right move. That spotter needs to paint a picture, because the driver can only see so much, and he needs to tell him everything that's going on so you can make the right decisions.
They really earn their money on restarts at Michigan. They are so thrilling at this place.
Restarts are going to be crazy. I think, you know, with this package, it's hard to get going, so hitting your shifts perfect is going to be so important.
Kind of takes me back to some truck racing days where you may have the run on the guy in front of you, but what it's going to do for you pulling out of line is even a bigger hindrance.
It's just going to be about timing and who can push at the right time, where you don't get bottled up and have a chain reaction that makes a recording effect throughout the line.
And if the guy in front of you doesn't get going, you're going to see 3, 4, 5 wide. I mean, it's just going to be pretty crazy getting down into turn 1, I think, every single restart.
Heard from Ryan Reed there. He's going to restart 13th.
I know you just want to get to the top. That's one thing I know.
And he talked about it. I love what he said. You want to hit your shifts just right. You can hear him gearing down to second there. There's so many pieces to the puzzle of getting to the top, and the main job you have to do is make sure you hit your shifts properly to get going.
And this is where it's important for Alex Bowman to get to Kevin Harvick to try to give him the push. Paul's going to try to keep the push as well, but they need to work his teammates on the bottom, even though they're not.
You don't care who your teammate is, do you? You just want to push.
That's exactly right.
And look at that push Hemrick's giving.
That's as
That's a
fruitful a
three-car
run
push.
as we've seen today in that outside lane. Big push.
And he's trying to look to the top. He needs to. Oh, well, look at the bottom's going to work now because they started racing on the top side. What a good break for Kevin Harvick to get out front after seeing all that. Didn't see that one coming.
And that's something that Kyle Busch didn't want to see. He gave a good push on the outside. He's going to be just on the back half of the top 10 by the time we get back to the start line.
And Alex Bowman just got a big push down the backstretch to take the lead.
Bowman, as we said, has pitted today but is not put on fresh tires. He is on point with Harvick behind him. That's Menard in the 22 in that outside lane. Elliott Sadler, it is wound up and working as Kyle Busch slides out of line down low.
And now you see the top line up so quick. You got to make those moves, it seemed like, down the back straightaway, because off of turn 4, it just singles files back out. And this will be interesting to see what this top does. You see Austin Cindric, Kyle Busch finds a hole.
Oh my.
That's where you got to be aggressive, and he did that.
Did he have time to wait for Rick Corelli, his spotter, to say clear, or did he just jump in that hole?
I think you got to take it. When it's there, you got to take it.
And if you're racing around him, you have to anticipate he's going to be aggressive.
Check that. He's diving to the bottom again. We talked about wanting to make sure you had track position before you made moves.
He did it.
Busch up to 5th. He's led the most laps today. 29 out front for him, 8 for Menard, 3 for Harvick. Right now it's Alex Bowman towing this field around.
And just there in the orange car with the corn on the hood, that's Justin Allgaier. We know he started in the back, got hemmed up early. Now he's fought his way inside the top 10 with a really fast car.
See Austin Cindric trying to make that bottom work still.
Yeah, he was up inside the top 5, and Regan, the 60 was doing great, fell to the back, trying to run the bottom. What do they say on the radio?
Well, he was doing very good. His race car just a little bit too tight right now, Michael. But before that last restart, he had a question to his spotter, wanted to know if the 18 was pushing him on his bumper into the corner. The response was no, that he just was close enough to make the air push him. That tells you how much of a handful these drivers have in the pack when another car is packed up underneath them. Jamie?
And the 2 of Matt Tift, same thing. He's had his hands full since practice yesterday. Said earlier his car was wrecking loose. Well, they made an air pressure adjustment to help it. Seems like it has indeed as the 42 goes underneath Matt Tift.
That's 9th and 10th right there. 42 of Nemechek inside of Tift, as Jamie talked about. And there's a spinner. 39 of Ryan Sieg.
Stay on the brake. Stay on the brake.
Caution number 4.
That's it.
He was running 22nd when he spun out there. No damage, just going to need some tires like his spotter said.
They're all flat, you're right. Let's come get some tires and get the Lombard Gaming car back in the game.
Here you see him on the bottom, and you've seen cars get loose underneath other cars. You don't have that side force, and they just spun out.
It almost looked like maybe he got his left sides down below the white line on entry. Joey wobbled early, and I think maybe just a little bit too low there.
Yeah, and the entry to turn 3 is probably one of the loosest points on the racetrack. And when you have a car to the outside, it gets even looser, and you're trying to carry that momentum, and that happens.
Is there an opportunity for strategy here? 15 laps to go in the stage, and even if you pit here, obviously you're going to have to pit one more time in that final stage of the afternoon. Got to think about the weather that could possibly be in the area. Looks like everybody comfortable to maintain their track position as Bowman, Harvick, Menard, Sadler, and everyone inside the top 10 minus Austin Cindric going to stay on the racetrack. We're halfway through stage number 2 for the Xfinity cars at Michigan International Speedway.
I love golf. I'm really excited to watch the U.S. Open on Fox.
Who's the best golfer on the Xfinity side?
It's got to be Daniel Hemrick, for sure. Or Elliott Sadler.
I myself, not very good.
My man C. Bell does a good job.
I have absolutely zero skill when it comes to golf.
Maybe have an Xfinity Series golf tournament to kind of figure that out.
A great idea. How about this? Tiger Woods is back, and he's ready to take on the greatest golfers in the world at the 118th U.S. Open. Live coverage begins Thursday from Shinnecock Hills on FS1 and Fox, and stream it live on Fox Sports Go. Okay, under caution, we're getting close to the end of stage 2 here, which would mean it's officially halfway at the end of stage 2. We'll have just over 10 laps to go when we go green. And speaking of green, there's a lot of green on the radar. What are you telling your drivers?
Yeah, we're hearing that this rain may be about 30 to 40 miles away, so I think we can get to the end of stage 2, which makes it an official race. Where the chess match will come, if it's still not raining then, what do these crew chiefs do? You're going to have to stop one more time to make it to the end of the race. So I would say with this weather threatening, Shannon, even at the end of stage 2, we may see a lot of different strategies, because I think a lot of people may be banking we're not going to go all the way to the end of this race.
This could be a wild restart right here, right?
Yes, it could be.
All right, let's throw it up to Adam for the restart.
We can talk all we want about strategy. One thing for sure is that Bowman is going to come at some point and put tires on his Chevrolet. He's not done it all day long. What about that strategy, Regan?
Adam, they're already telling him and coaching him up to keep saving fuel. They are thinking about beyond lap 60 and what they can do to try and get their car up front after those pit stops are done. Let's not forget that Alex Bowman did have a chance to work with Chad Norris in a weird way. He was the driver of the team car to him when he won at Charlotte last year. Alex Bowman in that car. Chad Norris working on his teammate's car.
Well, that was his first start with Ganassi and crew chief Mike Shiplett. Today he's making his first start with GMS and crew chief Chad Norris. He's 1 for 1 in that situation. He'd love to go 2 for 2 here today. And how about on the restart on older tires? Is that going to be tough to manage? How much of a shove do you want here when we go green?
All the shove you can get. You take it all the time. I think these runs are so big on these restarts, and we saw a lot of passes being made all the way down into turn 3 on this last restart, but we saw when they came off of turn 4 they were all single file, and you better find a hole by then. It'd be interesting to see if that trend continues on this restart and how aggressive everyone will be towards the end of the stage.
And we know how good Elliott Sadler is at restrictor plate racing, and he understands giving pushes, and he doesn't care what tires Alex Bowman has on his car. He's going to push hard, and this another driver you can count on being very aggressive on this restart. Ryan Reed back in 13th. Can he get the push and the run he needs to get up front?
Going to be 11 laps to go in our second stage. Top 5, Bowman, Harvick, Menard, Sadler, Kyle Busch, Green waving once again.
Elliott's at work, isn't he, Joey?
He's making it work. I saw that bottom lane. It was lined up as tight as possible. They're doing all they can down there to try to survive.
Elliott Sadler,
and it's working.
Maybe tries to side draft Harvick a little bit there, slow him down, get right back to the bumper of Bowman.
This is where they got to be disciplined. You see a good push by Paul Menard to Kevin here down this back stretch. It'll be interesting to see what it looks like into 3 here.
Cup veterans working together. Both have won here at Michigan. Harvick gets the shove he needs, 98, back to the lead in front of Bowman.
You see Kyle Busch there on the bottom in the orange car. He's the one to watch.
And that's just experience in that bottom lane. All of them worked well together and somehow got a car to the lead. And here you see Paul, he's kind of left out. He wasn't able to find a hole. Not his fault. He did all he can do. It just, there wasn't the opportunity to get in.
There was a little bit of contact, it looked like, between John Hunter and the 9 car of Tyler Reddick. Reddick went sliding, but you want somebody to slide in your car, not spin it out? I'm going to pick Tyler Reddick. He can hang on to one of those babies.
He's sliding around. I know that all the time.
Look at Jeremy Clements in the 51 up inside this battle for a top 10 position.
Speaking of top 10, Kaz Gralla had that penalty a while ago. He has worked his way back inside the top 10. Driver 61 doing some positive things here today. Let's go back to that battle you were talking about, Michael. 9 and 42, couple of rookies on track.
Well, John Hunter was at the bottom, tried to use the apron to clear the 9 of Reddick, pulled back up on the road to make the corner, but man, this got tight. I think of maybe a little bit of contact on entry, at least enough air pushed on the side of that 9 car. Woo. And there he goes sliding.
Regan said
that
before.
Could have been a lot worse.
Yeah,
Regan
at 175 miles an hour, it could be definitely a lot worse.
But he has the luck of the Irish. That's what Regan said, huh? Allgaier in the top 10 after starting at the back. On board with Truex just behind Austin Dillon, Jamie.
Well, Austin Dillon's been running there in the top 10. He last pitted on lap 32. His team looking at the forecast, they told him, we're good to go until lap 90, and we're on lap 52 right now, but they do believe the rain will be here before then. We hope they're wrong, but that is the game plan now.
Yeah, it sure sounds like a lot of teams are playing this weather game right now, and it's so hard to call a race off a radar. You don't know if it's building, if the cell is shrinking. It's just so hard to call it from that. And here's Christopher Bell. Look at him. He's still going. He's running good.
Don't you want your car tuned up better than that? He's come from 2 laps down, back inside the top 20. He's looking for more, too, down on the inside of the black car. That's Michael Annett. Here comes Ross Chastain with a push. Christopher Bell likes what he's got right now.
He should tell his crew chief he fixed the car.
Yeah. Look at John
Look
Hunter.
what I did.
Ross Chastain in that mix, driving the 4 car. Mentioned Clements right behind him. Nemechek hung out down low at the front. We'll see 6 laps remaining this time around. Harvick and Bowman leading this thing.
And these guys are packed in there trying to make some progress. You can't win it from this position on the racetrack, so you got to fight. You got to try to get some ground.
Yeah, you might as well try something.
Sadler in 3rd, 6 laps remaining here. Regan?
Well, much like we just heard from Jamie, Elliott Sadler's team is another team talking about that lap 90 to 95 pit window. So it would appear they're thinking heavily about staying out at this stage break right now.
I tell you what, Alex Bowman is impressing me in that 23 car, not putting tires on at all. He's not in the lead. He has decent air, but he still has 1 car in front of him, and he's making something happen. And here comes Kyle Busch trying for a move, and he makes this move because he realizes he's got room behind him. If he doesn't make this pass on Daniel Hemrick, which it looks like he won't, he doesn't lose anything, and he's right back to where he was. So you might as well give it a shot.
You know, Kyle Busch is a bit stubborn, right? And he's not afraid to continue to try and make something work. And as we talk about Kyle Busch and his aggressive move down low, we get a caution for the 5th time today. And that's going to be the 15 of Matt Mills. Now what do you do here?
Well, that's a good question, Adam, because Joey said it perfectly. These guys are all over the board on strategy. And, you know, one of the hardest races to ever win is when you don't know when they're going to end it. And, you know, if we're going to go to lap 125, sure, we can make a plan for that. But there's rain in the area. What do we do?
Let's see what happened at a 15. He hit the wall pretty hard. There you go. Looks like a right front tire. That's going to hurt. Oh. Yeah, that's a tough hit. That's a hard angle. Those right sides don't give much at all. Those door bars, we have the foam on the right sides, which is nice, but it's still really solid.
I don't know what we're paying you, Larry, but if you make the right call here, you should get a raise. This is stressful for a crew chief, huh?
Well, Adam, I think there's only one call. I think that's you've got to stay out. You know, we're right now. You're thinking about the end of the stage, but you're thinking about what might be the end of the race. And everybody that pitted at lap 18, especially with all these cautions like Harvick and Bowman, they can probably go somewhere between to lap 75 and lap 80. And to Jamie's point, everybody that pitted at lap 32, like Elliott Sadler, as she pointed out, they can go to lap 90. That weather is so close, it's moving right in our direction, and we're 4 laps away from the end of stage 2. I think the only call is to stay out.
When in doubt, stay out. That's what I say.
The only thing is that tire issue on the mid-15 car of Mills, does that concern Alex Bowman? He's been out there on the same tires the whole way, or you think that was just a freak occurrence?
You saw that car was all by himself towards the back of the pack. I'm going to go with the freak occurrence on that.
You can see those ducts in the front of the car. We talk about this aero package. That's just an opening in the nose of the car. The air comes off the other cars, hits the nose, and goes out the fender. Just an open duct there that NASCAR developed to try to make these races more entertaining, and I think they've hit it here at Michigan. What a fun affair this is.
Hey, and we've made mention of this, but remind everyone, you don't have to get to halfway. You just have to make it to the end of stage 2 for this race to be official. We're working on 3 laps to go when they come back to the start-finish line this time. I mean, you looked at the radar. The rain is near. They're trying to get the back straightaway cleaned up. Do you pit? Do you not pit? And look at this. Top 2, 3 going to come down. Elliott Sadler, no surprise, he stays out. Big call here, Regan.
Oh, the 21 car up. Daniel Hemrick hits his pit stall. His race car is a little bit aero tight right now, so he needs some help on entry. Danny Stockman told me fuel would dictate his strategy, and that's exactly what he's doing. He wants the fuel now. The 23 of Alex Bowman, he's been lifting to stay off of the car in front of him of Kevin Harvick, but he can run wide open all around. No adjustments for him. Jamie?
Kevin Harvick in the 98. Richard Boswell, as crew chief, said, well, this storm has slowed a bit. So Kevin said, if we're going to run out of fuel, we need to pit here. So they decided to pit even though they wanted to stay out. Kyle Busch, car's pretty good. They did the same, sticking with that 98 strategy as well.
Race off pit road goes to Brandon Jones. They play the track position game. No tires, just fuel. Daniel Hemrick gets a couple of tires, all 4 for Kyle Busch. Let's listen to Elliott Sadler.
Right now we're racing through the rain. I think we're really close to it.
Then let's take that chance, man. We got a big lead in the points. Who cares if we run out?
Who cares? I told
Risk it, man. Go for it.
I told you a minute ago I wouldn't want to be the crew chief and try to guess what these guys do. They always seem to have a different plan up their sleeve. Elliott Sadler's plan was simple. We're leading the points. We need to win.
We were all wrong. I thought everyone was going to stay out there. And I guess it all just depends on the amount of fuel, and maybe the cell's not that big. I don't know. It seems like he's going to get the track completely wet, and it might be the end of it. But, hey, what the heck do I know? Regan, what you got? You know something more to me?
Guys, let's not forget that crew chief Kevin Meendering pulled this exact same strategy in last year's race. He stayed out at the same point of the race. They were able to stretch it, get him track position. The caution fell just like he needed it to, and then he was able to make up a ton of spot on the racetrack. So doing something similar to what he did last year, we'll see if he catches that caution he may need at some point.
And this could be a huge day for Elliott Sadler and his crew chief Kevin Meendering. Sadler hasn't won in 51 races, trying to end that long winless streak, and Kevin is from Grand Rapids, Michigan. He would love to win at his home track. Larry, what do you see here? 1 to go in the stage. This is going to be something, huh?
Well, Adam, the reason I don't agree with those guys that pitted right there is if we do go all the way to the checkered flag at lap 125, they're still going to have to stop another time. It's not like pitting there buys them to the checkered flag. That's why with the weather and everything else, I don't agree with pitting right there.
I'm no Al Roker, but I think the weather is coming, and those crew chiefs, especially Kevin Minderland and those guys, they're counting on rain falling and this race coming to a conclusion prior to needing gas.
And I said 1 to go. What I was referring to is the 1-lap shootout we are going to get when we return to the green flag.
My weather app says we should stay out at the end of this thing, too.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out right now. We're only good till about like 79 or 80.
And I'll add my weather app to the conversation. It was
what app do you use?
I've got my radar, and it is always correct. Listen, when it was coming here yellow, but as it got here, it started dissipating a bit to green. So maybe this cell continues to dissipate, and everybody's wrong about the weather.
I mean, hey, weathermen, they're not always right.
I would say this, though. We're closing on 6 o'clock on the East Coast. It's going to get dark here around 9. If it rains right now for any period of time, that likely will end this event. Well, either first, we got to get to the end of stage 2 to make it official, right?
And we got a 2-lap dash here for a great finish to the stage. This is going to be fun to watch. It's going to be aggressive. They know they're coming to not only the end of the stage, the end of the race.
Sadler outside lane, 1 lap to go here in stage 2.
Look at Christopher Bell in that torn up white car. He takes them 3 wide. He's to the bottom.
He's 7th right now, Michael. He was 2 laps down.
He's not happy with 7th, Adam.
Make it 4th.
It's working for him.
Truex is there. Tift is there. This could be the race for the win at Michigan. Rain is on the horizon.
Does Truex pull out and try to gain the lead away from Sadler in that 11 car?
20 pushing the 2. That's Matt Tift making a play inside lane.
All clear by 2.
Playoff point on the line. Elliott Sadler is out front. He comes in the championship leader. He'll pad his stats here. Green and white checker. Sadler wins it. And most importantly, he leads if we should get some rain. Truex second. in stage 2. Then it's Reed, Tift, Kaz Gralla starts at the back, gets a penalty in the top 5. He scores points for the second time today. Chastain, Cindric, Austin Dillon, Christopher Bell, Cole Custer, your top 10. 4th stage win of the year for Elliott Sadler.
Man, that was fun. I don't know. I thought Ryan Truex had the run to dive to the bottom on Elliott Sadler into turn 3. He must have not felt like he could make that move.
He must have not wanted to take that risk. But, man, at this point, you know you're second. You're going to have to start on the inside lane. It's not going to be a good spot for that restart, most likely. Although we have seen the inside lane try to kind of work sometimes when you had the right cars, fast cars pushing with experienced drivers were really able to make the difference. We'll see if the cars around them are fast enough to make it work now, because I don't think any of these guys would pit right here. It seems like they're kind of married to the strategy they're in.
Check out this restart and watch the purple car, the 11 behind Elliott Sadler. They're going to do their job perfectly to push out front and get the lead. You said it well, Joey. That bottom line has made some moves, but this time the outside prevailed.
Yeah, for sure. And you didn't see really anyone actually connect bumpers. And you see the 20 get a run. He says, "The heck with it, I'm going for it." And he gets a spot. And then it seems like the 3 car, I think, gets him back off of 3 and 4.
Watch this 11. He's pushing Elliott Sadler. And maybe that stalled out his run right there. And he couldn't whip to the bottom. But, man, he's got some pushing from behind.
It would have been a gutsy move if he went for it. You know, and there's 2 ways to look at it. You know, maybe something different would have played out. I think at that point maybe he should have gone for it, but the hindsight's 20/20 all the time, right? I mean,
yeah.
it's easy to be a Monday morning quarterback, isn't it?
Look at that move by Reed to get 3rd in that stage.
I'm just looking at the drivers, Michael, inside the top 15 that have had some kind of problem today. I mentioned Kaz Gralla, who is 5th. We got Bell behind him, right? Was 2 laps down at one point. He finishes 9th in the stage. Just outside the top 10, Cesar Baccarella involved in that incident earlier on with Alex Labay. He's 11th. You got Ryan Sieg, who had a spin. He's 13th. No quit in these Xfinity Series drivers here today.
And we said it all throughout practice. This package, these rules, offer up the best ability for underdogs to fight their way into the story. Guys that just don't have the flat speed when these cars are running right on the edge of control. They're able to use the rules with those big holes in the front of the car and draft up and make some good gains. Throw Josh Bilicki on that list as well. He's up in the top 15 as well.
Not many takers on pit road this time, Jamie.
Well, Matt Tipp last pitted on lap 18, so Randall Burnett has been, I swear there's smoke coming out of his computer. He's looking at the numbers, looking at the radar, and he told his driver, we're good for 18 more laps, and I think we're going to need to race beyond that, so let's bring it in. Right side tires, air pressure adjustment, and they'll put enough fuel in it.
Who made the right call? Those that decided to have a pit stop and open up their window, or those that stayed out playing track position hoping for rain, Michael?
Oh, man, Elliott Sadler's been so confident since we got to Michigan. Let's talk to him and see what he thinks. Hey, Elliott, it's Michael and Joey up in the Fox booth. Do you copy?
Yes, sir, Mikey, I got you.
Well, you called it when you talked to us in the pre-race show. You got a car to win this race with, and I know you're in a hurry. You're trying to get home for Wyatt's baseball game. Everything's going perfectly for you so far. How long can you hang on out there?
Oh, man, I don't know. It's a pretty wild race, man, so far, Michael. The restarts have been kind of crazy, almost like Daytona and Talladega, where you got to pick the right line and get the right push. And it's definitely this package has changed the racing here, but so far so good for a one-main financial Chevy, and we're going to try to keep it up here as long as we can.
Well, it's entertaining to watch. Good luck, buddy. We're going to be keeping our eye on you.
All right, 10-4. Thanks, Mikey.
One more reminder, this race is now official should the rains come. Elliott Sadler's rooting for that. He leads the final stage when we continued live from Michigan. Long day for Xfinity Series teams here at Michigan International Speedway. We were supposed to qualify at 10 o'clock this morning. That got rained out. Scheduled green flag was about 1:45 Eastern time. That was a wash. After about a 3-hour delay, we finally got things going. Somehow we've made it through stage 1, stage 2. The race is official. The rain is on the horizon. Elliott Sadler leads, and this is going to be an entertaining final stage regardless of how long it lasts.
And if you're Kaz Grala, are you dare thinking maybe I'll win this thing? He's lined up in the 4th position right behind Elliott Sadler in a great position here. This team didn't even exist a month ago, Joey. They built these cars and put them on the track, and he's done a great job behind the wheel.
I tell you, if you're anything like me, you start to see the front, you think anything's possible. You'll make big moves to get that lead.
Sadler going to go outside lane on the restart. As Michael said, he'll get some help from Kaz Grala. Inside the Ryans, Truex and Reed. Final stage underway.
Check out that push by the 3 of Austin Dillon. He was tied to the back of Grala. That shoved Sadler out in front. Truex is hanging tough on the bottom, though.
And we've seen this is where the bottom lane can hang for a little bit, but then off of 4, it seems like that's where you better find your hole in the top lane.
You could see there, Grala elected not to dive low. He had a good push there, 3 wide.
Paul Menard back in the mix. Christopher Bell going in the wrong direction.
He about lost it right there. I'm sure that car, it seems fast. Maybe he knocked the spoiler down a little bit. It seems so fast, but it seems out of control.
Clear.
You see Menard was able to jump right up in front of Kyle Busch. Kyle certainly got his work cut out for him here.
Austin Dillon swinging low.
Yeah, that was gutsy. This will be interesting to see how it plays out down the backstretch.
A lot of drivers at the front that either have never won in their career or are dealing with a long winless streak, Michael.
Behind the 11.
There he goes.
Clear high.
Grala's taking the lead.
Kaz Grala to the point.
Clear.
And he's saying right now, make it rain. Can you imagine if this kid earned a playoff spot today?
How great would that be? In the 25, that thing was loose.
Bell brings out the 7th caution, and you know what that means. We slow things down. Grala's leading. Now he's really doing that rain dance.
Oh, yes, he is.
And those storm clouds are quickly approaching from the west. Grala with the lead. This is a great story. He started last, Joey, and had a pit road penalty.
And what did we talk about before the restart? Get me close to the lead. I'll make some big moves, and he did it right there. Here you see the 20 on the outside of 3 wide. It just gets loose.
You know, I think it's really interesting. He was running 167 miles an hour when his car broke loose. People talk about we've slowed the cars down. I don't want to be running 167 miles an hour when my car's not up under me, but these Xfinity racers, they are going for it. Look at that
car was beat up. It was fast, though. Honestly, I don't know, maybe he didn't make the best adjustments on his car after all.
But credit to Bell. I mean, that kid's got a ton of talent, and he has wheeled it here today through adverse conditions. Let's go back and watch Kaz Grala as he drives around Elliott Sadler to take the top spot.
Now, this is the push he was hoping for, and what I love, Joey, watch when he clears Elliott. He goes straight up the track.
Yeah, and what a great move. He gets the good run. He clears him before he gets into the corner. Now he has shorter distance, and he's smart enough to get right back in front of the 1 and take that air away, get the push as well, and secure that top spot.
You don't want to be respectful. You just want to get the lead.
And it's not about making friends.
That's right. It's about winning races.
Yep.
This is a great story for Kaz Grala.
You know, with the U.S. Open on the horizon, it seems only fitting to quote Bill Murray from Caddyshack, this is the true Cinderella story, Regan.
Well, Kaz Grala, as you guys mentioned, started in the back, but also had that uncontrolled tire at lap 32, went to the back again. Crew Chief Shane Wilson has been on the radio telling him, save fuel, save fuel, save fuel. I've had to have heard it 20 times over his radio now. They want him to make sure he's cautious about that. The driver has been asking, where's the rain, where's the rain? He wants it to rain right now.
And to put this in perspective, on the original entry list this week, there were 41 drivers. Only 40 make the field. last in points, likely to go home when qualifying is rained out, as it was earlier today. The 61 team of Kaz Grala. Same situation a couple of weeks ago at Charlotte. Very similar last weekend at Pocono. They've made it in every week and now in position for career win number 1. And this is a great young racing family, Michael.
It is. His father, Darius, has been racing ever since Kaz has been on this earth. And they share sports cars together.
Great hair.
I mean, that's awesome hair.
Even better hair. It keeps getting better.
He's in a KISS cover band and won Daytona. Just stepped up and won the truck race down in Daytona. And there he is in his sports car racing as well. Like I said, he and his father have shared cars together. This is a great family, and they're a great addition to the NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Just over a year ago, he graduated high school up in Boston, right? He was planning to go be an engineer, but he wins that season opener in the Truck Series last year at Daytona. They said, we got to stick with this thing. We're in the playoffs. Opens the door to run full-time in the Xfinity Series. He's pushed back his freshman year at Georgia Tech until January. Who knows? He could be a playoff contender for the second consecutive season in yet a different series.
I was able to give him his high school diploma at Dover last year. So, hey, Larry McReynolds, this strategy is interesting. How long can he stay out on the track with that lead?
Well, you know, it was reported earlier by Jamie. She had one of the drivers that had pitted on lap 32, which would include everybody pretty much in the top 3 right now, that they could go to about lap 90. But since they pitted, we have had 25 caution laps. So now, in my book, they can probably push close to about lap 105, which is a good 35 laps from now. And again, I've got every weather app that's known to man down here working right now, and it looks like to me that rain is about 15 to 20 minutes away.
There you can see it's creeping inside the circle, Joey.
And it's getting here slow, but man, he's got a lot of fuel left if what Larry says there is true. So I'd say, yeah, keep rolling the dice. You know, you pit, it's over at this point, so you got to keep going. You made your bed, you got to lay in it now.
And he's a huge fan right now of Daniel Hemrick in that 21 car. Yes. He wants that push from Hemrick that will get him ahead of Elliott Sadler. I mean, this is a true underdog story, and if he gets the right push from Hemrick, maybe he can hold this lead for a bit.
Now he's got to be quick on his mirrors. If you remember earlier, Daniel Hemrick was the driver that got to the outside of Paul Menard on a restart, which allowed Kevin Harvick on the bottom lane to actually get the lead. But look for Daniel Hemrick to try to make that move again, knowing that weather is around the corner.
And not sure what it's worth, but Hemrick did pit at lap 57. Those others pitted at lap 32. He has some fresher tires. Green flag with 55 laps to go.
And by the way, Daniel Hemrick wants to win just as bad as Kaz Grala does, or any of these racers.
And the next guy.
He couldn't care less about Kaz's underdog story. He wants this victory.
Hemrick looking for his first career win. Talked about the winless streak for Elliott Sadler. Cole Custer trying for his first victory of 2018. That was tight midway down the backstretch.
I don't think they've came off each other's bumper until right there.
Here's Hemrick for the lead. Pulling to the inside in turn 3.
He's not going to clear it.
He's running him up. Oh, he didn't clear him.
Grala back to the point. And Sadler's right there.
He's got to fight hard on the bottom here.
Big push from Austin Dillon in the 3. That's going to put Grala back in the lead.
Oh, Austin gets into the left rear a bit.
Huge wiggle for the 61 of Grala. He's going in the wrong direction. Austin Dillon has the top spot. Ryan Reed right behind him. Hemrick slides in line.
I just can't believe they haven't wrecked yet. Look at this big push by Bowman on the back of Elliott Sadler, and Grala to the bottom.
You know, he's got a fast race car. Grala is getting after it here.
And the pushes are becoming more and more aggressive. They're becoming harder, and they're staying on each other's bumper down into the corner, which is a recipe for trouble.
Daniel Hemrick saw him getting aggressive, and that's Austin Cindric in the 60, going for a slide. Caution out 8 times today.
You can see some damage on the left rear there, maybe side drafting, some contact, and around he went.
Woo, that was intense. There's a lot of stuff going on there.
And now look who's leading. Austin Dillon. Richard Childress Racing went winless in 2017. First time that had happened since they ran full-time in the Xfinity Series. Last time he won summer of 2016.
How about Richard Childress and Austin? He did good in Daytona with the restrictor plate on, didn't he?
He seemed to do pretty well.
See what happens here. I saw damage on the left rear. Does he get together with Annette? Oh. Combination of things happened there. I think the 60th Cindric tried to get in a hole. Maybe a spotter called him off, pulled down to the inside, and they made contact.
Yeah, it looked like he had the hole there for a second. He went for it and maybe thought maybe he's there, and he didn't want to crash and by clearing himself up when there was a car there. But and then he got to the back bumper and around they went.
And while that was happening, let's see what was going on with the one of Elliott Sadler.
See, there's the opposite. The Elliott went for it when he wasn't quite clear, and that's what I think Austin was scared of happening. And there's the two sides of what can happen when you got to be aggressive to get into that top lane.
Was that Bowman he was trying to cut in front of? Because I think I saw some tire smoke from the 23 car.
I thought I saw the same thing. And maybe this will answer your question, Michael.
Let's go see who he's looking for. We'll get the answer. You're right, Adam.
There you go. Ooh.
Yikes.
Wow. That's a pretty big hit.
I'll be honest, I don't understand that. I mean, they're racing. I mean, you can't just...
That's some... I don't know if this is... I don't think that is okay, in my opinion, to do that. And there you see a fender rub, some smoke coming off the 23. I mean, you can't expect the 23 car to let you in this late in the race.
Well, there wasn't room.
What can you add, Regan?
Well, guys, that happened right in front of me down here on pit road coming off of turn 4, and that's exactly what happened. Sadler thought he was going to squeeze up into a hole that just simply didn't exist right there. He immediately came on the radio and apologized to his guys and said, sorry, guys, this race car is killed. He hit the wall very hard down here. Some right side damage that they had to pull out.
So he comes in with a championship lead, and Sadler has not finished outside the top 10 all season long.
We'll see if we can see Elliott Sadler. You can see the room right there between the 00 of Custer and Elliott try to pull up in that hole. And I don't think there's anything Bowman could have done. He couldn't expect that to... I don't think he could have expected what Elliott did. He couldn't have predicted that.
Yeah, I mean, and Bowman can't lift. Paul's in the 22 car is right behind him, pushing him, and he has the opportunity to gain a spot. You gotta keep your foot in it. That's just how it has to be late in the race.
On board with Ryan Truex.
I'll probably out the back. Gonna close up in front again. Smoking top, smoking top. Clear top, clear top, clear top. Wow. Yellow's out, safe.
Joey, I know you're watching this thinking, man, I'd like to be out there. Are you sure you want to be out there?
Yes, I do. It actually looks like some fun right now. When you come down to the end of the races and you're pushing and there's just take from everyone, it just becomes so much fun.
We're going to go green next time, but let's go back one more time and see if we can figure out where this disagreement began.
Well, that's just help there. Let's see. That's good help because you can see they're driving around Kevin Harvick. And look who's coming behind.
So that was worth a high five, not a door slap, right?
That's right. Give me some love. They're just racing hard. I mean, they're racing hard to beat the rain. That's what it's all about.
Sadler right now being scored 30th. Bowman scored 34th. Cindric, who brought out the caution, is 35th. At the front, be 50 laps to go when we return to the green flag. Austin Dillon leads, outside lane for him. Then it's Ryan Reed, Cole Custer, Hemrick and Gralla the top 5. Menard, Truex, Harvick, Reddick, Kyle Busch, your top 10.
Joey and I stand up on our feet every time they do a restart. We can't wait to see what's going to happen next.
It's not going to get less aggressive, I can tell you that much. You see these cars where they were staying in line, now they're going 3-4 wide into the corners.
Look who's in a position to take the lead on the bottom. That's Ryan Reed.
He's going to get him.
Oh, what a move.
All clear. Here's Hemrick in the inside trying to get aggressive. That's Gralla behind him. Cole Custer, blue and white 00, has stayed in the mix late.
And what a move by Ryan Reed to get the momentum, get the right push, and be aggressive with that clearing again, and it paid off.
Reed hasn't won since the season opener at Daytona 2017.
Here comes a big run by Austin Dillon with his teammate behind him.
Big push from Hemrick. Look at that outside lane. The Fords working together. You said it, Joey. Menard's there with Custer and Reed. Chevys went out this time. It's Dillon in front of Hemrick as they slide up and catch Reed. And Kyle Busch has worked his way back up now inside the top 5. Driver 18 trying to get some more.
And that is a fast race car. To be able to make the move he just did right there all by himself. Not a huge run. That's just a good race car. Look for that car to make some more moves towards the end here.
On board here with Ryan Reed. There was a whole lot going on in this shot.
That line with him. 321 that line. About 121 pushing to 3.
Hello, let's go.
Halfback. Gonna have a run here. Looking inside.
If you're not going to go, I will.
You're going to get a big push from the double zero here. Still inside.
That's the equivalent of
still in there. Clear low. Just try to get it back up top here.
At the end of the race, you don't lift. When you have a run like that, you just run. You hope you have enough bumper supports in the front of the car.
Wow, look at Kyle Busch.
He's 2 for 1?
Does he do it all by himself?
Not this time. And he may pay the penalty here as those cars are all lined up top, and he's trying to pass 2 teammates, which also makes it difficult.
Look at the difference in speed, the way those cars on the high side were able to side draft back past Kyle.
But I think Kyle knows he doesn't have much time. You know, if he wants to win this race, as we know he does, he's not going to just want to ride in fourth here. He's going to want to keep trying to make the move, and he knows weather's around the corner here.
Now, as we watch this, everyone needs to keep in mind Austin Dillon will have to pit before these other drivers. His last pit stop came at lap 32. Same situation for Ryan Reed. They've got a little ways to go, but at some point, we'll have to watch them as they try to make a trip down the pit lane.
Look at that huge string of cars all down the front straightaway, just fighting themselves into position. Oh, yeah, by the way, guess who's back, Joey?
There's no quit in this kid. I'll give him that much. He is still wheeling the heck out of this thing, passing cars, moving up through the field.
Kyle tried again. He's going to lose another spot this time. There wasn't a hole for him to sneak up in. You could see him trying to squeeze up there, but Paul Menard in that bright 22 car.
Caution is out.
Is that rain?
And there's the yellow.
Oh, no.
46 laps to go. And it's the 55. Ooh. Impact there for Brandon Hightower.
Couple of cars, Adam.
Good to see him getting out of that race car.
The 8 of Baccarella. I thought I saw 2 cars over there, and that's huge damage there.
For both those cars. We saw some fire on the other one.
Baccarella had done such a good job of coming back from that earlier problem.
Oh, he just gets loose, and what happens to Hightower? Tries to squeeze to the outside.
Oh, my.
It's like you get on the brakes and lock them up, and it sets the car going the wrong direction, and looks like he's got no brakes at this point.
And why you saw
and no steering either.
Hightower hop out so quickly. He felt that fire. He knew he didn't know it was out already, but he knew it was on for a bit.
And a little bit of fire is enough to say, I'm getting out of this thing.
But if you go back to that earlier problem, for Baccarella, he had come back, was running 11th. Hightower went sideways when Baccarella and LeBay had gotten together, so he had a save of his own earlier in this race, and this caution, the 9th of the day, is going to put Austin Cindric back on the lead lap. He receives the free pass here.
And he doesn't have a whole lot of damage to his car either. I think that he could be still competitive if we can get this thing back to green flag racing.
Now here's going to be an interesting restart. You got 2 teammates running 1-2, and we see a lot on super speedways where you'll see these cars work together. Maybe the leader taking the bottom lane and then coming up in front. Will you? It's pretty risky at this point of the race. Neither one of you might win if you do this, but it also might be the best chance of one of them winning. It'll be interesting to see if they do this or not.
I don't see it. Do you, Joey? Because they've got to be so aggressive. If they lay back at all on the start to try to let the other one up in line, I just don't think it's going to work.
But we also see how strong they are working as teammates. That's what got them to the lead. That's what's kept them in the lead. They're going to be split up in 2 different lanes. There's no guarantee that they're going to be able to find each other nose to tail again.
But that's a pair of fast Fords right behind them, Ryan Reed and Cole Custer.
mean, you can see the rain over here, but it's just sitting there. It's saying 3 minutes, Andy. It's saying 3 minutes, man. Hopefully it'll get here.
Andy Houston, Nick Harrison working the pit box for Austin Dillon. Some anxious times down there, I'm sure, huh, Jamie?
Oh, yes. He's got the radar right in front of him, and it is a big sell. But you guys last pitted on lap 32. How many laps are you comfortable leaving him out there?
I believe our strategy is committed right now. We're going to stay out as long as we can, but I believe the rain's going to get here before we have a fuel issue. So that's our strategy. We're going to stick with it, and hopefully we can pull it off.
All right, so how many more laps, though, if we go green here? Can you guys stay out?
We can go all of them.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We know what our number is, and we're going to stick to it, and hopefully it works out.
All right, I believe he's going to be okay for 20 to 25, maybe?
he just needs a few. That's all he's thinking, Jamie. And there's the man that owns that team. And you mentioned it earlier, Adam. It's been a bit of a losing streak for this group. Now they're setting 1-2. And looking for a little rainfall.
55 race winless streak for Richard Childress Racing in the Xfinity Series. They're 1-2, 44 laps to go, but we'll never make it that long because the rain is near. A dramatic finish on the way. Happy to have you with us from Michigan. last weekend at Pocono when Sparsh made his first ever trip to the track with you and the foundation.
Yes,
huh,
that's so awesome. And we call it the JL Kids Crew. It all stems from a little man that passed away a few years ago, and we were able to go to his funeral. And there was a bunch of race teams, and they all showed up in our fire suits, and it was an amazing experience. But I thought it was such a missed opportunity because we never got to see Jake Leatherman, his name was, and we weren't able to see him while he was still with us. And so we started the JL Kids Crew to bring kids to the racetrack, give them an amazing experience. We give them race suits. You saw him in it. It's the same Puma suit that I'm wearing with his name on it, and we don't give them a VIP experience. We make them part of the team for the day, and that's something that's really cool. And it's all because of all the people that support the Joey Logano Foundation. Is such a huge deal. And here he's on the grid walk with you, Michael, last week.
That was so fun, and I told him, he said he was going to help you through the day. I told him maybe 2 tires late, and Sparsh was just so happy to be a part of the grid walk, and what you do for these children and your heart, it just melts mine. I really appreciate you and your foundation and all you do.
Well, we have an amazing platform, and it's our responsibility as a race car driver or as anyone in our society to live a life of generosity, and that's one of our main goals with the Joey Logano Foundation is to inspire others, and that's a huge part of it, what we saw last week in Pocono.
A lot of people are given opportunities. You have made the most of yours in that regard. We thank you, and it's JoeyLoganoFoundation.com, correct?
That's it.
Okay, go there and see how you can be a part, because as you just witnessed, Joey doing some very, very positive things. So we head back to the track. 41 laps to go, and the rain not here yet, Regan.
Well, I know we didn't get an answer out of Nick Harrison just a minute ago on how much fuel that he has left in his car, but Daniel Hemrick's crew chief, Danny Stockman, just reported to his driver he believes that car in front of him has 7 laps left in it. So don't know their teammates. I'd have to assume maybe he's got a pretty accurate read on what his team car possibly has in the tank. He also told his driver, if you save me as much fuel as you said you did, I think we're fine here.
What do you think about all that, Larry?
Well, we have run 34 caution laps since Austin Dillon was last on pit road. And, you know, we used to use the formula for years here, 2-to-1 under caution at a 2-mile track. But, I mean, Joey and Michael know there is no telling how much fuel that Austin Dillon is saving. I would say, without even knowing how much he's saving, he can go to at least lap 110.
And what advice, Larry, would you give your driver here, restarting as far as lane selection and how you manage your teammate running 1-2 in this situation?
Right now, in my book, it's every man for themselves. You know, the RCR needs to win a race. You talked about it. August of 2016, we're seeing where, obviously, the leader's been taken the outside. I just think right now, with everything going on, it's just every man for themselves.
I just want to say real quickly, Larry, if they play any games up front, Kyle Busch is 5th on the inside.
You better believe it. You need to block out about teammates. It's do what you got to do for yourself.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's hear from team number 3 here.
Keep saving there, buddy. We still got about 17, 18 laps on fuel here, and I'm not counting what you saved, so we're probably more like 23, 24.
Didn't he tell us he had plenty?
We're getting 1 to go, but I don't know how much more to go we've got before the green gets here, and green is not go in this situation.
Well, they better throw the green quick if we want to see some racing before the bad green gets here.
There you can see coming in from the west. God, what a day of racing. This has been, we hoped it would be as entertaining as it's been, Adam.
I can't believe we're sitting here inside of 40 laps to go when we really thought we may never get this event underway. Patience has prevailed as far as getting this race going. It's not going to prevail here. Be 38 laps to go when we get the green flag once again. Austin Dillon has decided he'll go outside, putting his teammate Daniel Hemrick to his left.
Now here's my question. Does the next caution come from rain or everyone pushing really, really, really hard using these bumpers as much as they possibly can?
That's just the view from Ryan Truex's visor right on his helmet. That's what he sees. And you talked about pushing as hard as you can, Joey. Look at the spoiler and the roofs of the cars ahead. If something does go wrong, you don't have hardly any time to react.
That, and you can't see. As you get right to the back bumper of these cars with these big spoilers on it with this high drag and high downforce package, it makes it hard to see. So if they check up in front of you, not only are you right on their bumper, you really can't see either.
Uh-oh. Not going. Does that mean there's a little rain in the area?
I thought I saw some raindrops on the front of Ryan Truex's windshield when we were on that helmet visor camera.
How about just one lap? Just one lap. Let me see one lap.
I know. Come on.
This has been too good to end like this.
I didn't see Nick Harrison's reaction, but he had to say yes.
And I said no. Let's go.
Nothing against you, Austin. You just want to see a race.
But you said it, Michael. If we can go green, we know who will likely be the most aggressive on this restart, and it's Kyle Busch. He's led the most laps today through that cycle of pit stops and all the strategy. He hasn't had the track position. But the 18 we know is going to do all he can to get to the front.
And what I love about this, Joey, in the top 6, we got 3 Monster Energy stars and 3 young Xfinity stars in the top 6 battling for the win. This is set up to be a great finish, or a little bit of contact and another caution before it rains. I don't know what's going to come first, but man, we are set up for an awesome, exciting run.
And NASCAR has to be smart in this situation. There is rain coming. If there's a little bit of sprinkles, you got to assume there might be more. You don't want to send a bunch of cars barreling off down into turn 1, all nose to tail, and then the bottom falls out of this cloud and starts raining. You see every car go crash. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. There's a weather app right there.
And look at him. Look at the intensity on his face. Just saying, one lap, please, or the rain start or something happen right away, because you're just so nervous right now about anticipating what might go down.
Nervous for so many reasons. I mean, that's his grandson leading the event. His teams haven't won in a while, as we have documented. And Daniel Hemrick trying to get his first career victory. And the last thing you want to happen as a car owner, restart 1-2, the rains come, you wreck each other, and someone else gets that checkered flag. A lot to think about if you're Richard Childress in this situation. Lights stay out on the pace car. We're going here, guys.
All right.
Dillon outside, Hemrick inside, waiting in the wings, a couple of Fords, Reed and Custer, and don't forget about the Cup veterans behind them, Kyle Busch, Paul Menard. It's all on the line at Michigan.
Here, Ryan Reed giving a great push to Daniel Hemrick on that bottom lane.
And a big push by
up top.
Custer, too. And you can see rain on the camera lens there. Look at Ryan Reed. He peels off of Hemrick. That's going to hurt the 21 and the momentum down low.
The bottom lane has to stay disciplined here for it to maintain down this backstretch.
They're hanging tight.
Now, when do they come off each other's bumper into this corner? That's my question.
Put it out.
And there's the caution.
Right around the racetrack. Right around the racetrack.
Oh, and it was Austin Dillon by a nose.
And nothing changed the whole lap there.
Austin Dillon was leading. And we see the precipitation is getting heavier now. And that very well might be what ends it.
We got what we hoped for, right? We wanted to see him try it one more time.
I'm glad we got to see something.
Me too, and I got to commend NASCAR for giving it all they had, but the rain is falling. Austin Dillon did an amazing job of holding off his teammate and all those pushes from behind.
Tears in the eyes of crew chief Nick Harrison. RC grabs the umbrella, and he's going to need it because the radar is full of green and yellow.
I'm surprised Richard didn't have that thing up before it started raining.
And there's the view back to the west. We knew it was on its way. Now this is not official. I mean, we're still under caution. NASCAR has not called this thing off, and what we have to remember is the question marks on fuel for Austin Dillon, who is leading right now.
I'll do it too tight. 18 off you by quarter. You're at the stripe. Now, still quarterback. 18 in line. 18 still in line. In line. Still in line. He's in line. Offset left. In line. South side. Top covered. 18 half down. 18 half down. In line tight. South side. Outside. 21 clear out the front. 18 on you tight. Push this 21 here. Stay with it. 18 on you tight. 2 by 2. Stall side. Stop here. Caution's out. Caution's out.
And Joey, you said it. You have to be disciplined, and I think that's exactly what Ryan Reed did. He was disciplined and was pushing Hemrick there.
Yeah, if he went 3 wide, which you want to because you want to go for the win, but if he did that, he was going to fall back so far back. So that's why this bottom line, they do a good job. Everybody here stays in line because they need to. They learned earlier in the race that they have to do this to survive on the bottom, and you see them actually turn up about the same spot as they started.
But the 16 had, like you said, several chances to go 3 wide, but knew that pushing was the best option at this point.
At this point, you know, it is not really about winning the race for Ryan Reed. It's about cutting your losses because you're on that bottom lane, and we've seen how much of an advantage is to be up top. So they did a great job here. Even though he didn't get to the win or to the lead like he probably wanted to, or Daniel Hemrick, they did a good job just hanging.
No doubt who was leading at the time of caution, right? Austin Dillon had the advantage, but it was so tight coming down the back straightaway under these circumstances. To determine who's leading this race, you would go back to the last scoring loop. Now, the 3 was in control the whole time. There's no debating that, but just reminder of what happens under these circumstances.
We saw Ryan Reed pushing Hemrick from an onboard.
On the bottom, outside covered 7, outside 20 can't get you. 2x2, Kevin. 2x2. You and the 9. You and the 9. 2 wide here. Top's going to be covered here. They're pushing in front of you pretty good here.
And that turns out to be the winning move. Austin Dillon leading down the back straightaway. The rains came, and now it's official. Back to the checkered flag. We're going to be 34 laps short when this finishes, but it's going to be good enough for Austin Dillon, who wins for the first time in the last 56 races in the Xfinity Series for Richard Childress Racing. It's a 1-2 finish for RCR.
Andy, can I come around? Yeah, you can come around. Allowed to do a burnout?
Yeah, I'll let you.
Always do a burnout.
Joey's the king of burnout.
What's going on is what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, you won the race.
Yeah, the checkered flag is flown, so it's over. And Austin's just...
Okay, there will be an alternate victory lane, so it's probably going to be like under the tunnel here, start-finish line. Just come down here, they'll tell you where to go. You can do a burnout, but everybody's left the grandstands because it's raining.
Still do a burnout, it's okay.
Do you want me to do one or no?
Yep.
You do whatever you'd like.
It's fitting after a 3-hour rain delay.
Whatever you think.
This race ends early because of Mother Nature. And you know Austin Dillon's patented move. He loves that slide across the grass. He might slide all the way to the inside pit wall today, as much rain as we've had here.
This burnout could have a lot of slipping and sliding to it with the...
It might be harder to get the smoke.
I hope they don't need this car next weekend at Iowa.
Made a good decision by doing a burnout. And the poor guy's got to paint all that tomorrow.
Somewhere he said, "You've got to be kidding me."
He said that wasn't a good decision.
Look at the crew, the elation on their faces. And you go a year or so without winning one of these babies, as hard as these crew guys work, just the ability to be able to appreciate and celebrate such a great accomplishment.
They made a lot of changes in the offseason at Richard Childress Racing, both at the Cup and Xfinity level. Daniel Lawrence doing such a good job with this Xfinity program. Saw Nick Harrison, who started the year with a 3-team, went away for a period of time. Now he's back and in victory lane with Austin Dillon. And for Dillon, it's the 9th win of his career, ending a 26 race winless streak for him. That's how many starts it had been since his trip to victory lane at Bristol in August of 2016. Post-race reaction after a break.
Check on Austin Dillon is complete. He has been released, and right now he is driving up pit road with the checkered flag hanging out the window. He's actually easing past the rest of the top 5 finishers right now. He will slide into a makeshift victory lane that is basically in a breezeway that separates the streets of the lane from the actual pit lane itself. In channel, give a moment. Of course, let's go to the river.
Six, 5, 4, 3, 2 to you.
Welcome back to Michigan. The drought is over for Richard Childress Racing, not so much for the Speedway. The rain is here, and Austin Dillon won that race. Jamie Little.
A big celebration for Austin Dillon. His Cup team celebrating like they did at the Daytona 500. A big win for you guys. There's your grandpa, Pop Richard Childress. You guys went winless in this series last year, Austin. This isn't just about this team, but how about that man and what it means to get him back to victory lane?
Feels good. I'm glad we could put the 3 back in victory lane today in the Xfinity series. Like you said, it's been a little bit of a slump, but Danny Lawrence, Nick Harrison, all these guys have worked really hard to put the program back where it needs to be. And my dad lost a really good fishing buddy yesterday at club, and this one goes out to him and his family. And man, how cool is it for Cabela's and Bass Pro Shops? Johnny Morris has been with me since the beginning of my career in the truck series, and to get him a win here in Michigan, that's so big. And wow, I was wanting that rain to come. We played a good strategy. Nick Harrison gets the credit for that. I just held onto the wheel.
Congratulations. Austin Dillon comes back to victory lane for Richard Childress.
Daniel Hemrick, career best finish, second place. I know that's not the position that you wanted. On that last restart, was there anything that could have happened differently to get you up front?
I'm not sure I can run it back as many times as I want my mind, but it definitely stings to be that close and to have it kind of end that way. But it hurts for the 21 team. Everyone at Southland Hotel Casino Chevrolet did an incredible job, not only today, but they've been doing it all year, trying to put me in position. They did, and I didn't capitalize there on that restart like I needed to. But it's a great day for RCR, though. First win in a long time for this company, and we've been doing the right things as a group to put some of our cars in contention. And week in and week out, we've had some cars near the top, and trying to have an opportunity to win. And Austin rose to the occasion today a lot better than I did and got the job done. So hats off to those guys, all the 3 teams. They worked their tails off just as hard as everybody does at RCR. Thanks to Chevrolet, ECR, all the fans that did stick it out here with this weather. It's been crazy all weekend, and wish I could have a couple more goes at it, but it is what it is, and we'll roll on.
The good news for Daniel, the last car to finish second here at Michigan, went to Iowa and got his first career win the following week.
I was just going to say that a season ago, Denny Hamlin breaks the heart of William Byron, who goes to Iowa and wins for the first time in his career. Let's just go ahead and throw it out there. Hemrick wins at Iowa, right?
Well, that would be fun to watch because he's been so close, not only in the Xfinity Series, but also the trucks as well, just looking for that first big win. But he can't beat himself up about that restart. He did everything perfectly, put himself right there. He just didn't get the push he needed from the back to be in front when it started raining. He should be very proud of the job he did down on the bottom.
I agree 100%. He was at a disadvantage being on that bottom lane. They did a good job maintaining because you're at that disadvantage. So he did a good job. Austin did what he had to do. Everyone did what they were supposed to do on that last restart with staying disciplined. And that's why you see the finish the way it was.
Great to have you with us. Thanks for hanging out all day long through the rain, and best of luck tomorrow starting 5th, okay?
Thank you. Yes, we got a good car, so hopefully we can get our Shell Penzo Ford to the front for a third win at Michigan. That'd be great.
The three things to say you. 217. That's how fast you're going to be going tomorrow. What the heck?
Woo!
Hang on.
Maybe that's more than, I don't know how many that is, but that's fast.
Fun day, fun race, great finish, Shannon.
Yeah, better him going that fast than me. Larry Mack, we talked about 6 hours ago about this package that we were going to see out here today, and we've talked about the rain pretty much the entire race, but what do you think about what we saw race-wise?
Yeah, it did not let us down, but I think we knew all along that this was absolutely a perfect fit for this 2-mile racetrack where these drivers are on the throttle so much. I know this series, they're going to run it again at Indianapolis a little bit later on in the fall. And then it just sounds like that the Cup Series, it keeps gaining legs, that they may try it 2 or 3 more races later on this season before we get to the playoffs, but it did not let us down today.
You had mentioned some of the guys that are in the top 5 there. Who stands out to you the most?
Well, Daniel Hemrick, we just spoke to him. We had him in the Hollywood Hotel earlier. Cole Custer, they're still looking for their first win of the year, but I do believe that will be 2 players when we get to the championship 4. And then Ryan Reed, he really needed a good run. It's been a dismal season since that top 5 at Daytona, and he comes away with a top 5.
He did, and as the guys just mentioned, we're off to Iowa next week. Standalone event for the Xfinity Series. Also Father's Day, so happy early Father's Day to everybody out there. Here's a look at the points right now. You see Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell. They are locked in with those victories. Elliott Sadler is still on top of the standings, the official standings, with Cole Custer, Daniel Hemrick, and Justin Allgaier kind of rounding out those top 4 or 5. So, what I liked today was we heard Elliott Sadler take a risk because of where he was in the points, and I liked that.
Yeah, and of course he comes away with a 30th place finish, but took a big hit. But yeah, he's still got pretty good cushion. He knew that. They knew where they were stacking up right there.
You had to do it, right? Because you're chasing the rain all day. One of the toughest positions for a crew chief, you think?
Absolutely, but not tough for that guy right there, Nick Harrison. That is one happy bunch right there.
It is, and we've got a lot more racing coming tomorrow here at Michigan. 1:30 p.m. Our coverage starts on Fox. Congratulations to Austin Dillon and to Richard Childress Racing, and thank you all for hanging out with us today. Have a great night. We will see you on Fox tomorrow.
This copyrighted telecast may not be reproduced, retransmitted, or used in any form without the authorized written consent of NASCAR Broadcasting. NASCAR would like to thank all of our fans for your support, and we hope you enjoyed today's broadcast.